Good morning and welcome to the Morristown Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. If it's your first time here in this room or your first time online, my name is Alison Miller and I have the great privilege of serving this congregation as minister. Welcome on a day of festivities. We have our service auction going on and you'll hear more about that later. But let's all begin together by sharing in an affirmation. I'll share it with you, and then we can say it together. It goes like this. It is good to be. It is good to be here. It is so good to be here and online together. So will you join with me in that grounding affirmation? It is good to be. It is good to be here. It is so good to be here and online together. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. We have a very exciting announcement to begin. Some of you may remember that at our in-gathering, Jihan Chu and the Chu family shared an incredible gift, $2 million towards the new addition that we are building. It blew us away, simply put. But we were then galvanized and challenged to raise an additional $2 million so that we could get all the way to completing our building project. Today I have fantastic news. We have passed $1 million of the $2 million. We're just 1 month after the kickoff in mid-October. Yes. And let me tell you why and how. Part of the answer is a particular couple's incredible generosity, and part of the answer is the generosity of so many people adding their stones, if you will, to the beautiful pile that will allow us to build our building. So without further ado, I want to announce that through the 3 campaigns, so from 2014 through the end of this campaign, Joe Urhane and Beth Wilson have pledged a total of $500,000. And we are so excited to share that our welcome gallery in the new building will be called the Urhane Wilson Family Welcome Gallery, which is so perfect because so many people share that Joe Urhane is one of the first people that welcomed them, and Beth is an artist, a musical artist and a visual artist, and our gallery will have some beautiful aspects to it, including some art. So I cannot think of a couple more fitting for that space. And I want to honor, too, that their son, Eric, also helped contribute. So they have given a certain amount, and the 3 of them will be giving an additional $320,000 in total to reach that. And I want to make $500,000. Make sure that people know we believe in transparency. The areas that have a potential for naming are the outdoor courtyard, and we do love the outdoors, so we've learned to really love it. It'll be beautiful. The 2 classrooms, that welcome gallery, and the kitchen. Did I get to 5? I think that's right, 5, and we want to be transparent about that. And that also means, by the way, we're over $1 million. They're giving an additional $320 to reach the 500. A lot of people have been incredibly generous. We just couldn't do this without generosity at all levels. So Joe and Beth, would you like to say anything?
Well, we both started coming here in 1979. We were married here in the meeting room in 1981, and we've been supporting the fellowship for over 40 years. Our daughter Jennifer went through the RE program beginning in the 2nd grade, and son Eric went from kindergarten on. After high school, the kids came back and thanked us for having them attend. We've each gotten many insights and much support from participating in the fellowship.
That 1979 date that Joe just mentioned was when I was 29 years old. And suddenly I've discovered that next year I'm going to be 72. That happened very quickly. So, along with Joe, I can use my IRA required minimum distribution to donate to MUUF's capital campaign. And we are happy for all of us that we can do this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Steve Parker has organized a meeting on Zoom on Thursday at 7 o'clock for people to meet with an accounting professional, Dan Swift, who can share with you about giving and tax advantages around giving, including the RMD. And that would serve you whether it was something for the fellowship or somewhere else. So it's a great opportunity to learn more on Thursday at 7. With that, I'll invite Tish Hamilton, our Sunday associate, to come forward and to share a couple of announcements.
Good morning. My name is Tish Hamilton. I'm today's Sunday associate, and I just want to say that Joe Urhane was the first person I met when I came into this fellowship hall, and I think many of us, you may forget that it's a little scary to take that first step into a new space, and to be welcomed by a very generous heart was made the whole welcome very welcome. So how appropriate that he should be part of the welcome hall. Thank you. Okay, so for the announcements, first, newcomers, there's an in-person and online Getting to Know UU class coming up on Saturday, December 4th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Lunch will be provided. You can sign up by emailing welcome@muuf.org with your name, email, and dietary preferences. Second, today is the kickoff of our service auction. During coffee hour, our service auction will begin out on the terrace. There is something for everyone. Earlier, there were raffle activities for the little ones and youth after their RE classes. Bidding in person will give you the largest choice of items and events available. And I'll tell you a little bit more about this at the end of the service today. Next, the lunch bunch is starting back up today. They'll be meeting weekly at 12:45 at the Florham Park Diner on Ridgefield Avenue, and everyone is welcome. Finally, our offering this morning will be split 50-50 between our fellowship and Family Promise, an organization that helps homeless families gain the resources they need to be able to sustain a living and also provides temporary housing. And now will you join me in our chalice lighting? Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another. And now I invite you to join Stearns in the opening song.
I didn't know who was going to do the inviting. We invite you to rise in body or spirit and remain masked and hum to your heart's delight, building a new way.
And we've decided you could You can move a little, right? Since we're humming, we could move. We could start a movement of dance.
And even when we start singing again, you can still move them.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because we're building a new way.
Get it? We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
The new piano sound fantastic, yes. And also looks beautiful too, I have to say, a work of art in many ways. Just asking, is the projector, it is working. Whew, that's great. It didn't work at the first service, but you never know.
Moving forward through uncertainty.
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. And now this is a book together, written, credited as written by the artist, Luke Adam Hawker, and words by Marianne Laidlaw. Sometimes we see the opposite, but the visuals on this, in this story really do tell the story alongside the words. Together. Life can seem like a machine in constant motion. There's no time to stop. The clock is ticking, and there's always somewhere we need to be. Even when we're too busy to think, our daily rhythm sweeps us along. We can rush through our days without seeing them. But I remember the storm that year. An uneasy feeling was creeping among us. Crowds began to dwindle. Dark clouds were looming in the distance. We watched them gather and we wondered, when will it come? How long will it last? It's hard not having all the answers. And at once, everything stopped. Life's engine ground to a halt. We could feel the weight of the dark sky overhead. Streets were suddenly deserted. Quiet, where once there was an orchestra of noise. The busiest of places stood empty and still. Normal things began to feel strange. Strange things began to feel normal. We were adrift. Fear can be a funny thing, and it doesn't always shine a flattering light. I don't know if you can see the person here with the shopping cart with lots of toilet paper and maybe all the items and a pretty empty shelf. It can make us forget that others are scared too. We took shelter knowing the worst was yet to come. Weeks went by. It rained and rained. It felt like it would never end. Heroes among us stepped forward. They held us together and put others first. They were battling the storm in ways we couldn't even imagine. We were humbled by their courage. You can see the people stepped out to their windows, probably in New York. They deserved our applause, or Chicago, or any city around the country. They deserved our applause and so much more. It's hard to be separated. Worries can seem to overflow. We felt so far apart. We began to understand the distances that had been between us already, and that loneliness can beat its drum loudest in a crowd. But being alone doesn't have to feel lonely. How many people have a new dog in their life? When life became smaller, we found space to see the bigger picture. Perhaps we were more similar than we had thought. We were united by our separation. We were together in being apart. We talked, we listened, we shared our sadness, grief, and worry. We shared our stories and experiences. Hard times can help us find the best that we can be. Little things can mean a lot. Some of us found that we had more time. Time presents us with ideas to plant like seeds and the patience to nurture them and to watch them grow. We found new ways to keep in touch. Our homes became like dance halls, classrooms, bakeries. In slowing down, we woke up to the most important things of all. We began to understand that the sun was still there, rising and setting, waiting, even when the clouds were at their darkest. We marveled at nature and drew comfort from the trees that had weathered the storms for decades and still stood strong. Their endurance, it reassured us. We thought about their roots, strong and silent in the earth, and felt grounded. In a time of uncertainty, we found comfort in the seasons. The moon, the stars, and the birds in the trees watched over us. In stepping back, we had left the path clear for nature to step forward. And when slowly the rain and winds began to subside, when the clouds became lighter, and at long last, sunlight filtered through, a new calm emerged. We valued our connections. We shared a kinder perspective. And now, we look with hope to the future. Though clouds may gather again and we may see other storms, we have realized, most of all, that we're stronger facing them together.
Now is the time in our service where we give and receive our weekly offering. We believe that generosity changes lives. It changes the lives of people in our community, and it changes our own lives. Each week, 50% of the offering goes to support our good work here at the fellowship, and 50% goes to support the good work of nonprofit organizations in our community. Today's will go to Family Promise. You can donate at text to give number 73256 with the keyword MUUF followed by the dollar amount. You can also give by going to www.muuf.org. The offering will be greatly and gratefully received. Thank you.
And now I delight in calling Marcia Ivins forward for our next reflection.
Living with uncertainty.
There we go. Okay.
Until 4.5 years ago, I led a very happy, busy life in Chatham. I had a job cleaning houses. I facilitated poetry and pastries and open poetry reading for 16 years. I belonged to writing groups. I taught beginning writing at several local colleges. I went to AA meetings at least 4 to 5 nights a week. But the best part was being with my grandchildren. At the same time, I was making the difficult choice for me to move to an adult community. I would come home a bit tired after these full days, but all of a sudden the tired morphed into exhaustion. I decided to see my doctor. He did some blood tests and told me to see an oncologist immediately. That is when my world turned upside down. I was diagnosed with bone marrow cancer, for which there is no cure. General lifespan is 4 to 5 years. I am in the 4.5 year now. I have been on a steady round of medicines and treatments since then, but I won't give up. There are too many activities here for me. I just finished giving a 3-session class on beginner's poetry, acted in a play, and so on. I wake up and wonder if I will feel too tired or too cold to leave my apartment. I get transfusions every 2 to 3 weeks, as my doctor says, to keep me going. Every day I feel more and more the disease is winning. Living with uncertainty is difficult, one day at a time. I have great support systems from my children, my grandchildren, and my many friends where I live, and of course, Reverend Alison. You cannot see my cancer, nor can you see that of a dear friend. So when people say to either of us how wonderful we look, our stock answer is, it's the makeup. It's our joke. Laughter eases uncertainty. Thank you.
So I invite you into a time of prayer and reflective meditation. And I invite you to let's take a lesson from those trees and feel rooted, to put your feet firmly planted on the ground, and you can sit in your chair a little bit forward if you are able to, and you're certainly welcome to stand if you wish. Spirit of life, Spirit of an abundant love, allow us to feel your course and flow through all of our bodies to the edge of our fingertips, all the way down into the ground underneath our feet. May we live in gratitude, feeling the movement of time, knowing that people before us have walked these lands, have faced turmoil and trial and times of isolation, and have themselves had to learn how to feel deeply rooted and connected. And allow us to reach with our arms, to reach and stretch towards the sky and to stretch forward. and to imagine our connections with all those around us and those yet to come, the future generations. May we find along the edges of the sky the golds and the reds and the browns at this time of year remind us that we also walk in beauty. And may we stretch and reach towards the future, one that is more whole and just. This day, may we feel our connections to one another and to those around the whole world. May they feel strengthened from this season of loss, and may it transform into seasons of possibilities. All these things and so many others are our prayers, our yearnings, and our meditations. Amen, and blessed be peace, connection, wholeness. And now we get to hum and rise in body or spirit and even move, even dance in this sanctuary together.
Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah yeah, 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 oh yeah yeah.
I want to share one of my favorite parables about change. It's a Sufi tale about a stream. And it's told in many ways, and this is one of the ways it gets shared. High in a far-off mountain, a little spring sprang from a hidden source. It flowed down the mountain over all different kinds of terrain, sometimes leaping and bubbling, sometimes drifting lazily or going underground. But it was never stopped by any obstacle that might have gotten in its way, until one day it reached the edge of a vast desert. Just one more step, it said, one more obstacle. Nothing has ever stopped me from flowing. I will overcome this obstacle too. So the stream flung itself at the desert, but each time it did so, its waters simply disappeared, vanishing into nothingness, swallowed up by that hot, dry sand. But if it was its destiny to cross that desert, it would surely find a way. The wind can cross the desert, it declared, and so can the stream. I know I must cross that desert, but every time I try, the sand swallows me up. No matter how hard I fling myself at the desert, I can't seem to get any further. You won't be able to cross the desert using the old ways, said the desert. I am not like a boulder or a tree or a rock ledge. It's no use hurling yourself at the desert like that. You will never cross the sand like this. You will simply disappear or turn into marshland. You must trust the wind to carry you across the desert. You must let yourself be carried. How can the wind carry me across the desert? Asked the stream. You must let yourself be absorbed into the wind, and then the wind will carry you. No, cried the stream. I am a stream with a nature and identity of my own. I don't want to lose myself by being absorbed into the wind. That's what the wind does. Trust me and trust the wind. If you let yourself be absorbed by the wind, it will carry you across the desert and let you fall again on the other side. And there you'll be a stream again. But I won't be the same stream as I am now. I won't be this particular stream. The desert understood the dilemma, but it also understood the mystery. You're right, said the desert. I am. You won't be the same stream, though, if you fling yourself into the sand and turn into a marsh. Let the wind carry you across the desert, and the real you, the real heart of you, the essence of everything you truly are, will be born again on the other side, to flow a new course, to be a river that you can't even imagine from where you are standing now. So the stream thought for a long while, but deep in its heart, it had a memory of a wind that could be trusted, and a horizon that was always out of reach, but was always a new beginning. So the stream took a deep breath and surrendered itself to the power of the wind. And the wind took the vapor of the stream in strong and loving arms and took it high above the desert, far beyond the horizon, and let it fall softly at the top of a new mountain. And the stream began to understand who it really was and what it means to be a stream. Change. It is the one constant, yet we resist it. Perhaps that is because it is so often accompanied by loss. As a pastor, I have learned that even through positive changes, we experience grief. When we are changed by an experience, we are no longer the same. We mourn the identity of who we were before the change, even if we also eagerly embrace the new possibilities of who we are becoming. When a youth leaves the home of their childhood, they may relish the arrival to the next place and all that waits for them there. Yet, they will also undoubtedly miss their room, their family, and maybe their favorite meal. When people are becoming parents, they may be very excited to welcome their child into the world. However, so often couples right before they become parents, before the baby is born, share a desire to do some of their favorite pastimes one last time, knowing that it will be different and they will be different the next time. When people share that they are retiring, I try to remember to take a breath before offering congratulations or any comment, knowing that their heart may be processing grief at that very moment, even if they wanted to retire. Some changes are wanted, some are delightful and expected or unexpected. Some are unwanted, but come all the same. Some are a mixed bag. Some are minor and quick. Some are major, and we wonder, will we ever find our bearings again? Many significant changes are a long time in formation, and we may spend a long time in a liminal, emerging space. In the summer of 2000, I received my first stole from the young adult and campus ministry group I was leading in New York. It was actually a scarf with chalices on it, but they made it clear when they put it on my shoulders that they meant it as a stole, as an affirmation of the ministry I had shared with them and the ministry I was headed towards. I'm glad it was a scarf because according to custom in Unitarian Universalism, you're technically not supposed to wear a stole until a formal ordination. So I could wear this without offending any future colleagues and be reminded of where I was headed and how I was changing. It would take 3 more years of divinity school, followed by a rotation as a hospital chaplain, followed by 1 year as a full-time intern in a congregation, plus a couple of months into a professional ministry until I was ordained as a minister in our tradition. We are living through a time, I would suggest, of a long formation, a long emergence in the wake of an experience that none of us wanted. We have lived through a collective trauma, the pandemic, and we are different than we were before, whether or not we wished for that change. We certainly didn't wish to be changed by experiencing so much loss, millions of souls. Some of us, over the last couple of years, like Marcia, who bravely shared her story with us earlier, have also experienced personal changes with significant losses that we didn't want either. We live in these marvelous bodies filled with mind and spirit. This leads to the miracle of being human, which includes the ability to think, to feel, to love, to create art, to make a difference, to engineer wonders, and to care for the next generation. But these bodies are also finite and flawed. Pain and illness can arise, and one day our hearts will cease to beat. We don't know when that will happen or how far we will have come. All we know is that we have this moment in this room and online together. The rest is uncertain. That, of course, is what paradoxically makes the here and the now of living so very precious. We don't have forever. Change is the only constant. Like the water in the stream, our lives involve constant transformation, constant endings, and new beginnings. Uncertainty and change brings grief, but also grace. When we are sad, when we are feeling despair, there is also the possibility of change. Our minds and spirits can make the move from hopelessness to healing to joy. I treasure the story of a man, we'll call him John, who was hospitalized, who was diagnosed as bipolar, who was struggling with whether or not it was worth it to survive another day, who did survive, who left that hospital, who experienced a lessening of pain and the creeping in of a will to thrive, who emerged from that place and over the next several years became a cognitive behavioral therapist, companioning others on their journey to quench their psychological pain. Certainty isn't always all it's cracked up to be. Thank goodness people outlive expectations, surprise even themselves at times, and defy odds. Thank goodness everything isn't known. These have yielded the gifts of creativity, curiosity, and the drive to change in ways that lead to something better for us and for others too. As well-known Unitarian minister Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote in an essay, "In nature, every moment is new. The past is always swallowed and forgotten. The coming only is sacred. Nothing is secure but life, transition, and the energizing spirit. No truth so sublime, but it may be trivial tomorrow in the light of new thoughts. People wish to be settled. Only insofar as they are unsettled is there any hope for them. Life is a series of surprises." Recognizing that change and novelty are a part of what makes life worth living, we must also figure out how to face the encounters with uncertainty and change, the ones that make us doubt that truth, the changes we don't want and are companioned by pain, isolation, and desolation. How do we move forward? How do we lean into those desert times when our thirst is seemingly endless? There are many who have suffered greatly in this period that we are moving through. The pandemic has revealed the fragility of our health, and it has also revealed the pain of people on the margins or on the front lines bearing the brunt of change. People who are more vulnerable because of the injustices of unfettered capitalism, refusing to act to stem the tide of climate change, and racism and other oppressions. Many people have cried out, "When, O Lord, will things return to normal? I long for the ways that life used to be when we were together." While others have cried out, "When, O Lord, will the revolution be complete?" Don't simply take us back. Take us forward to the other side, another side where we will finally be together in ways we weren't before the pandemic. We are emerging from this time, which will continue to be a process. 5 to 11-year-olds now finally have access to the vaccine, and my son will get his first shot today. And yet, the Morris School District High School, very close to us, just closed and went virtual for the next 10 days because of rising COVID rates. I invite you to honor the liminal time that we find ourselves in, both collectively and individually. The word liminal comes from the Latin limen, which means threshold. We are neither in the place we were before, nor are we yet in the place we will be. We are at a threshold. We are knocking on the doorway of change. In order to move forward, we must accept that change and uncertainty are a part of life. It reminds me of when I was going through the process to become an ordained minister. I had to take 2 days of psychological testing, and I also had to hand in a health form for my doctor. Well, my doctor gave me a clean bill of health, but when the psychologist who was writing the evaluation, who wrote nice things about me, but wrote about my health, the psychologist wrote a big asterisk next to the nice things she wrote and said, "This woman has an uncertain future as a cancer survivor and may be a risky investment for her denomination." So I called her up and said, "How does this make me any different than anyone else? We all have an expiration date that none of us truly knows." And I'm 30 years, by the way, a survivor at this point. We must accept, I appreciate that. We must accept that change and uncertainty is a part of life, glorious, wanted change, and challenging change as well. And that means being willing to move through the steps of grief, who are our companions through change. And just to remind you what they are, as Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who has done so much work, describes them: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Now, we don't move through these linearly. We go back and forth and around the threshold for a while. In fact, maybe we shouldn't call it just a threshold, a doorway. A doorway we walk around over time. When we want to simply get back to normal without examining all we have learned through this experience, without having to be or behave differently because of what we've learned in the pandemic, that sounds a lot like the first step, doesn't it? Denial. Or, and I said this, I don't know if you said this, but when we said at the beginning that we would only have to separate from one another for 2 months, I mean, if we did it for 2 months, it would all be better. That sounded a lot like bargaining. And I want to join, for today's purposes, anger, depression, and acceptance together. We experience anger and sadness about the losses we cannot change. Time and perspective are a balm for that wound. Life always has a beginning and an end. Just because a life was cut short doesn't mean that it didn't have great purpose and meaning, or that the people that we have loved and lost and the love that they gave away doesn't continue to ripple forward and impact our lives well into the future. In fact, it's how we touch a bit of eternity. The pandemic has had other experiences of anger and sadness, and I would argue for non-acceptance for these ones and remaining unsettled. Injustice is a cause of righteous anger and sadness about losses that we can do something about going forward. Acceptance is for what we cannot change. In this case, we are called to remain unsettled and to embrace the uncertainty of building new ways and better ways that bring more abundant life into being. In the parable of the stream, which had the courage to release its grief and let go of part of what had been normal, it was able to transform and ultimately became a river of streams that came together to become something more than any one of them had been on their own, carrying with them currents of life more abundant than they could have imagined before. It took the collective streams time to cross the long threshold of the desert, but by allowing themselves to be changed, by accepting change and opening through what they learned and what they lost, and opening to what could emerge on the other side, they transformed. Friends, here we are, like water moving through the wind in the desert. We are changing in ways that we don't fully understand yet as individuals, as a congregation, and as a wider community of local counties and countries around the globe. Let us use this time wisely to mourn and to let go. And let us also be opened by curiosity and creativity and courage to land on another side and to practice a way of being human that is teeming with life, that allows us to see that our fates are intertwined with others winding towards the sea. I think this time of grief and isolation has allowed us to be more together in ways we've never quite been before, or at least in recent history. What we need now is to move forward on the path of healing, knowing that we don't have the answers yet, knowing that we will never be the same. But if we embrace our unsettled nature, as Emerson invites us to do, we may be able to become more connected than ever before. More connected to one another, more connected to love, more connected to liberation, more connected to life itself. May it be so, and blessed be one and all. Will you join in humming our closing song and moving in our closing song? And then we're going to kick off the service auction, and Tish will give us the send-off message for that.
Though days grow dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on when sorrow heals my soul and burdens make me strong. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My sister in my heart, my brother in my song. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. And though the journey is long, my destination is near. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. So brothers, take my hand, and sisters, sing my song. When hope awaits at every turn, I know we will go on.
I mean, it could go 3-4 months. I know. We're so blessed to sing outside, to hum with you inside, and soon enough to sing together inside. So let us go forth knowing that this is the hour and the day that we are given. So let us have some fun at the service auction, and let us plant seeds of joy and justice in it. Blessed friends, go forth and be the blessing that you are this day. And now, Tish, kick us off.
All right. So the service auction is going to be kicked off this afternoon, right out on the terrace. So in a few minutes, when I'm done reading, you can head out these terrace doors, the side doors to the outside. If you have special needs, please feel free to go through the Great Hall. You'll get a numbered ticket, so about 20 masked people at a time can enter the terrace bidding room. So you'll go out these doors, get your numbered ticket, and then while you're waiting, there will be hot beverages and there will be singing songs from the 60s to put you in the spirit of it, being out on the road, dreaming of places to go, homeward bound, as we travel in our minds and recall what a long, strange trip the past year has been for all of us. We hope that everyone will find something that you'd like to bid on. You'll pick up a printed copy of the catalog by the terrace room outer doors, which you can look through while you wait. And there's also a one-page short catalog to highlight items that you might want to bid on as you go inside. And the room is set up with all the tables, and it's nicely outlined where you walk so you can see all the cool things to bid on. This is a great way to raise a big chunk of change for our annual budget while also having lots of fun with our members of our wonderful community. You can bid on handcrafted art pieces, jewelry, win monthly dessert deliveries from Vicki Hicks, go on outings, take classes, get food to go, attend dinner parties at people's houses, and gatherings at the fellowship. You can enjoy various services and other treats from friends, and of course, find events, especially for kids. Remember that bidding in person this morning will give you the largest choice of items and events that were so generously donated this year, and I understand we have 140, which is a world record of donations. That's really super cool. If you can't stay, online bidding will begin this afternoon at 3 p.m. There are instructions about how to do that on the service auction page of the website at MUUF.org. All right, so now we can go out the side doors to our service auction kickoff and have fun.